Have you ever played something with a unique mechanic that makes you wonder how it's not been improved on by another game? Yeah, it's called Sonic CD. I recently bought Sonic CD's remake on Steam. It's a game I've always enjoyed, so I got the most accessible version of it because, well, I don't really want to use this thing often, or ever really. But I've always liked Sonic CD for more than just its actual gameplay. Its presentation and the ideas behind its gameplay always fascinated me. If you've heard anything about Sonic CD, you'll know what I'm talking about. It's a normal Sonic platformer in that you go through stages finding the quickest and best routes while dealing with enemies, but what makes this one stand out from the rest of its series, and a lot of other platformers to this day, is its time travel mechanic. I love this mechanic, it lets you see the impacts of your actions, but I don't think that it was used to its full potential. So here's how time travel works. Throughout each stage there's a lot of these signs that either have past or future written on them. If you go past one and keep a high velocity for a bit, you're transported to whichever the sign said. There are 4 different periods you can visit: the past, the present, a bad future, and a good future. The good future isn't immediately available. In order to get there and the good ending of the game, you need to go into the past and destroy the robot generators there. And that is why I think this mechanic is so cool. You get to see the outcomes of your actions. It emphasizes the stakes of the adventure, which makes the player feel more involved in the story, because you get to see what happens if you fail to stop Robotnik. Plus, it's always cool to see the same place at different points in time. But another thing is that the mechanic is entirely optional, but that isn't necessarily a good thing. There's 2 ways to get the good ending. You can either go to the past and destroy the machine, or you can go to the special stages and collect the time stones. You get to the special stages by having at least 50 rings at the end of the level and jumping into the large ring. You then go through and destroy these UFOs under a time limit in this pseudo 3D plane that's a lot like Super Mario Kart. They're a really neat way to break up gameplay between levels, but it kind of works against the time travel mechanic. Whether or not you destroy the robot generators in every level, which is sort of a daunting task to be able to find them all, you can always go do the special stages and get the same ending. And there's more room for error because you only need 7 time stones but have 14 opportunities to get to the special stages, unlike the robot generators where you need to destroy them in all 14 stages. And really the only thing that encourages you to take the past route is that during the boss fight you'll be in the good future rather than the bad one, which I mean is nice cosmetically, but it doesn't really do anything else. As you can see, it's a bit convoluted, you could say. There's also the problem that the future doesn't really do anything. I mean, you can go to it, but aside from seeing the changes, it holds no real purpose, and thus the game sort of treats the future signs like an obstacle rather than something you want to see. And that, coupled with the fact that you have to find a place where you can stay fast enough to time travel, makes getting to the past harder than it should be. And that's really disappointing because I think this, along with the special stages, sort of discourage you from playing with the game's staple mechanic. So how could have it been done better? Well, for starters, what if instead of having the special stages and the past route both give you a good ending, there was a separate ending for both? That would give the player a reason to replay it and try the various ways of beating the game. Or what if the time stones actually did something gameplay-wise, like let you go from the present to another point instantly? Then you would still want to go through the levels finding the generators, but wouldn't have to worry about actually getting to the past. Or maybe what if you could only get to the special stages from the future? Then you would have a reason to go to the future as well as the past. I don't know if those exact ideas would have benefited the game or not, but those are just some of the ways that it might have helped put more of an emphasis on taking the time to actually play with what makes Sonic CD so unique. Either way, it's still a pretty normal Sonic platformer. You go through stages finding the quickest and best routes while dealing with enemies, but what makes this one stand out from the rest of its series is its time travel mechanic. I've always loved it for its presentation and really neat mechanics, even if they never got used to their full potential.